And to talk about Nico Harrison, right? Nico Harrison finally gets fired, because the Mavericks are 3-9. They're second to last in the West. And it's just been a disaster for them, right? Nico Harrison had this idea, defense wins championships, yada, yada, yada. Defense this, defense that, right? And he had this idea that, screw it. Luka's out of shape. He drinks too much. I remember when that happened. I was early on in my walk, but I was still, going out a little bit. Definitely pulled back a lot. I was out with my friends, got a notification. Luka's been traded. I'm like, this is a meme. Come to find out, it wasn't. It was the wildest thing I've ever seen, right? And his defense to that was, well, I know what Jason Kidd likes. This is a defensive team. We're very big on defense and everything, and I think I can make moves without even having to consider Jason Kidd's opinion or I guess anyone else's opinion, right? This is something that's just been between me and Rob Pelinka. I'm very glad he kept it under wraps, yada, 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 da, 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 da. Bro, like I'm not going to lie, dog. You shot this. You single-handedly killed the Dallas Mavericks franchise for the next 5 years. Single-handedly. I don't think I've ever seen anything like this. Nico Harrison single-handedly ruined the marketability of this franchise, I guess you could say the aura of the franchise, right? Because Dallas has definitely been a franchise that a lot of fans and even players understood to an extent that, you know what, they do ride for their players. They ride for their players. They appreciate their players. And, they know how to treat their great players, right? They did that with Dirk Nowitzki. Michael Finley. Michael Finley, there hasn't been any issues with him, right? They just know how to treat their players. They know how to treat their legends. And they've always had good relationships with them. He single-handedly ruined the reputation of that, of what they were as a franchise and who they are as a franchise. I think that's, new ownership, so maybe not. But who they were as a franchise, you feel me? So, he single-handedly ruined that image that they had. And he kills their marketability. You had a very good thing going with the Dallas Mavericks organization. And trading literally an NBA legend, because I'm not going to lie, Luka he probably already is an NBA legend. You get rid of an NBA legend that wanted nothing more than just to stay with you guys. That's wild. That's wild for you to do. He never wanted to leave. So I'm not entirely sure how Dallas, what they need to do is handle Cooper Flagg properly to try to basically make up for what happened with Luka. Right now, you got to prove yourself again. Firing Nico was definitely the right decision. Now you got to sit here and try to get your reputation back, because right now the reputation of the Dallas Mavericks is definitely going further and further down the drain as the season goes on, right? So it's just it's crazy how one man really veered everything so far left for this franchise. It's wild to me. It's just so wild. And, they got to handle Cooper Flagg properly at this point. You give him what he wants whenever the free agency hits the markets. You do everything you can to basically, give him some cushion to be on, right? And one of the things you need to do is, bro, you got to get this man a PG. One of Nico's worst decisions he made as general manager was trading Quentin Grimes. That was one of his worst decisions. You traded Quentin Grimes for literally a hurt player and nothing else. Literally, he got nothing. He got nothing for Quentin Grimes. And Quentin Grimes, again, this was after they traded Luka. This is when Luka was hurt. Quentin Grimes was hooping on the Mavs, filling in for Luka Dončić as his time away, right? So it doesn't make sense to me how, okay, cool. You trade Luka for AD, waiting AD to get there and for him to be healthy and everything. Why are you trading Quentin Grimes? Why did you think that was the right decision? Why? It just doesn't make sense. And you traded into Quentin Grimes where now he's in Philly. And he was hooping in Philly towards the end of the season last year. And even now, when Tyrese Maxey's on the bench, or they'll even put him in at the 2. He's hitting some big shots for Philly, playing that PG role off the bench that they need him to be. Spark plug off the bench. You traded him for nothing. When you traded your PG, when you traded one of your point guards when you already traded your main point guard. Dog, I don't understand what this man was thinking. And Nico Harrison is actually like, he's one of the people, he's one of those people that supports my claim. I make the claim all the time, right? It supports that claim that majority of people could do anybody's job, right? Anybody could do what Nico Harrison did. I think a lot of people, probably 90% of the people who's an NBA fan, will probably do a better job than Nico Harrison. You feel me? So it's just wild to me. Like, he really does stamp that for me, where I think majority of people, as long as you put the time into it, you can figure out the job and you can figure out what to do. You could be a general manager. I'm not going to hold you. Majority of y'all can. Serious question, Dub. How much blame does Nico get? I mean, he's the figurehead, the front office put in place, but how much of the blame does the front office get? He gets, I'm not going to lie, he gets all of the blame. He gets all of the blame when he says things like, yeah, this was a decision that was very closed off. It was really just between Rob Pelinka and myself. And I'm very happy that, Rob Pelinka didn't talk to anybody about it or didn't really blow any whistles and everything. I'm really glad he was just able to keep it private. So I'm very happy for what's going on. He literally manufactured this. If maybe a couple people was in on that, cool. If the room was not big. The room was not big for a lot of people to be in those talks for that decision. So, yes, he gets almost all of the blame. Almost every single ounce of the blame. Almost. I'll say almost. Maybe you can be like, yeah, maybe the ownership or maybe the people above him gets a little bit of the blame for hiring him. Cool. They should have known who they hired, a guy who would do something like this. I get that. But Nico gets like 90% of it, 95. Bro, you can ask. I could go in the street right now, make a video, do a poll. Yo, would you trade Luka Dončić for AD? Do you think trading Luka Dončić is the answer? Bro, none of them doing that. None of them doing that. I don't know who. None of them. And now the Mavericks are in a disaster right now. They have no PG. Kyrie's hurt. Traded Quentin Grimes. No PG. And now they're trying to have Cooper Flagg run the PG. Bro, they are mishandling him terribly. I'm a Cooper Flagg fan. I love Cooper Flagg. But I did not sit here think that this man was going to come into league trying to be a point guard, dog. Come on. Now you got Max Christie. Like, oh, bro, I'm not going to lie. It's very aggravating. It's very, very aggravating. Very aggravating. Now you got Max Christie in there to try to help out. No, but Max Christie ain't really like that. You try to get D'Lo. D'Lo is like, man, I don't know what happened to D'Lo. And the guy, Caleb Martin, barely plays. Man, D'Lo's shot is just shot. D'Lo's shot is shot. Like, D'Lo can't hit a shot to save his life anymore. It's really sad to see. And if you're going to run PG, you gotta provide some type of value offensively. D'Lo can't give you much, dog. It's sad. Like, and D'Lo, I still believe D'Lo has game. Like, he's 29. Like, he's not old. Well, I guess a lot of people think that's old, but like, he's not that old. Like, it shouldn't be this bad. And he's always been like a solid shooter. So I don't know what has happened.